First out is Lydia Cacho from Mexico, journalist, winner of Amnesty International Ginetta Sagen Award for Women and Children's Rights, and the UNESCO Guillermo Cano World Press Freedom Prize for her work on human rights violations in Mexico, a work which she conducts under great danger and great bravery. Please.
Jonambalo hilote, Jonambalo hilote.
No. I notice how he emphasizes fast. I want to dedicate this morning to Sir Colin Fassy. This is the third time I am supposed to share an international forum with her, and this is the third time that international diplomats won't let her go through Europe to get out of Ethiopia. So here's to Sir Colin. Last night, while walking in front of a balcony where all Nobel Prize winners take their pictures, I stepped on the phrase written by Henrik Johan Ibsen in his play An Enemy of the People, and Folkefiende. The minority is always right. I had to smile and think, yes, we are. But how on earth will we be able to let the rest of the world understand how powerful human rights are, how important freedom of expression is? That is why we are here, to develop new tools to confront the powers that be, who consistently deny people all over the world the right to know the truth, to write about it, and to read about it. When I was tortured and imprisoned for publishing a story of a network of politicians, organized crime, and child pornography and sex tourism, I was confronted with the enduring dilemma. Should I keep going? Should I continue to practice journalism in a country controlled by only 300 powerful men, corrupted and rich? Was there any point to demanding justice or freedom in a country where 9 out of 10 crimes are never investigated? Was it worth risking my life for my principles? Of course, the answer was yes. Thousands of men and women from Africa, from the Arab countries to South America and Asia are saying yes, it is worth it. And for that, we will endure imprisonment, torture, and even death. Not because we are heroes, but because we believe in our own rights, and therefore we defend the rights of others. You all have the statistics of how many writers and journalists are in prisons all over the world. We know how many were assassinated last month, last week, and maybe today. You all send urgent actions that in many cases, like mine, have stopped an assassination or freed an incarcerated colleague. Some of us work towards new public policies, and that is how, in many countries, defamation charges can no longer silence journalists or writers. We do know we are in the right path. But there are some actors missing in this discussion. The media managers and media owners. They do have their own associations. They invite some of us to be a part of their international meetings, the same way someone brings a Cirque du Soleil ballerina to entertain them. Media executives are in their offices, frantic to serve unforgiving shareholders, are begging investors not to cancel publicity due to the economic meltdown. So apparently, they have no time for a conversation about the role of the press in a free society. Of course, no time either to protect journalists and reporters. They consider that discourse a luxury. They are busy creating risk-free products for the masses, either because a Venezuelan president told them to do so in order to keep their media going, or because Bush decided you are pro-terrorist if you give voice to the enemy, or because the Zimbabwean dictator will assassinate them, or the Mexican mafias will kill the reporters until self-censorship rules. Justice in many countries is a deaf and blind dog. It won't come if you call her. It won't see you if you are right in her face. Sometimes her sense of smell will bring her to you, but you can never be sure it will not attack you as if you were the enemy and not the victim. Every time they kidnap and assassinate a journalist in Mexico, we call for justice even though we know it will never come. When they imprison a Chinese writer, we call for justice and it does not arrive. Without a doubt, urgent actions are useful and save lives, so never stop doing that. But time has come to partner with media executives to help them understand if they do not protect freedom of speech, they will lose their importance, and if they lose their importance, they lose power. And if they lose power, they will lose money. Maybe then they listen. At the same time, we must unite with those NGOs demanding different media content. Change the supply by supporting ethical television programming, civilly engaged newspapers and websites, community radios and alternative newspapers and magazines all over the world. And for mainstream media, maybe giving them an annual qualification on how they take care or not of their reporters will be a good start. If they play the game of public recognition, let's give them some. The challenge is to realize this is a global issue. There is no way to understand the war against Iraq if we don't listen to Iraqi writers and poets and journalists. We cannot see the real tragedy in Afghanistan and Pakistan without the local voices. To understand violence in Mexico, we need to listen to our narco corridos and to the local reporters. As journalists and writers every day, we try to enlarge our ability to listen, to understand, to feel empathy, to question, to be truthful, to be ethical. By listening to people's stories, we learn ways to add insight and perspective to our coverage of human tragedy and human development. And also, every day, we test our ability to stay alive. We do understand the macrostructures of oppression. We know how the political system works to protect the rights of the elites at the expense of the majority. And when the mechanisms of state repression are used against us, we need your protection. You must never forget the importance of saving one single person. Yesterday, our fellow journalist and poet from China, Yang Weiping, who spent 6 years in prison, shared with us a story. One day, while incarcerated, he was listening to a small FM radio when someone mentioned his name, demanding for his freedom. Yang started to run in his cell as happy as a child. Someone outside had remembered him. He existed again in the outside world because another person claimed his right to freedom. In a world so fragile and haunted by demagogy, confusion, fanaticism, and war-prone politicians, we journalists tend to believe that the ideas provoked by reading our stories cannot fail to unite people of goodwill. That is one of the reasons we keep going against the odds. We know the power of compassion. They say a pessimist is a well-informed optimist. And that is why we gather here in Oslo, I guess. Not only because, as Ibsen said, we are right, but because deep inside, as a friend from Senegal wrote to me when I was in jail, there is an echo in our hearts of the Yoruba say, a lie may journey for 20 years. Soon, truth will break its spell in one day. We all dream alive, to be alive to see that day. We all dream as young to dance for freedom. Meanwhile, let's celebrate life and freedom. Thank you.